Canons of American literature were basically these works that were put together by a group of people that were considered to be the most influential of the time. In my opinion, it's almost hard for them to be diverse. Traditionally, white male, educated, upper class males were the ones that were deciding, what works were going to be put into these canons. And when you get a group of people that are basically all like-minded, they're all the same educated, they probably are all had very similar upbringings and and had the same choices in life, they're going to have similar views, and realistically, you're not going to be diverse, and you're not going to have anything outside of that. They probably all went to, these really prestigious colleges and everything else, and were taught the same amount of works. So I think it almost goes back to the roots that, people that were putting together these anthologies and textbooks and whatnot were basically influencing how these canons were eventually going to be developed. Early canons basically contains work by authors of the same race, of the same gender, and the same social standing as the people that were picking them. So they weren't diverse. I know over time that they've kind of changed a little bit, and I think we've gotten more diverse as we've grown as a country and started to accept things. But you had an entire group of people that were oppressed for a long time and really didn't get to be part of any decision making. Um, I think realistically, in order to change it, it probably does need to be changed. I think the biggest problem with that is getting a diverse group of people together that would say, okay, here are the groups that need to be changed, and here's what we need to change them to. But by doing that, you're still doing the same thing. You're still excluding these works. So even when you're trying to be diverse, you're still gonna take out some of the other works that may have needed to be in there. I think it's just kind of one of those things where I feel like it's each individual's own thoughts and what they need to think of and bring to the table and say, okay, for myself, I'm going to say that in the late 1900s this was the most influential work because I think this way. I think it's hard to say these 6 people or these 20 people are going to decide 100% these are the only works that mattered in 1920, 1930. When you take it from everybody to just a small group of people, you're not gonna be diverse. I don't think there's any way you can really fit that way in, and I think the only way to really prevent that is to show everybody, here's everything that could be happening in this time period. Here's what was going on history-wise, and then kind of deciding for yourself, being like, okay, slavery ended, and there's all these African American writers or whatever that came out, and here's the new things. And I think it's almost up to each individual to kind of figure out, what was the most influential thing for that time period for themselves. I think going off of a canon really limits your view and your scope of what you're learning from that time period.